So this is taking an old freezer and turning it into a DIY cold plunge tank. Now this is a Christmas present for my girlfriend. Um, this is an awesome way to repurpose something that would probably otherwise go into the trash. This freezer probably hasn't run in close to 10 years and it has sat in the back of my parents' property for uh, close to 5 without ever being plugged in. So I'm curious to see if this thing even works. So we're going to be just cleaning this thing up, trying to get all the leaves out. Obviously there was some rodents and the leaves didn't just blow in there. Some rats have probably been living in here. So you can't see me, but I do have a mask on, and I'm trying to use gloves as much as I can. Not touching my face, because if you repurpose something that rodents have been inside of, it's very important that you do not touch any of that stuff and then bring it to your face or get it inside of your body. It is extremely dangerous. So we're trying to be careful here. Here I'm just removing some outside fixtures and stuff because I'm going to be doing a lot of work to the outside. I'm just grinding down this plastic on the inside. If yours has the divider right there, you can silicone it in, but I just ground it off to make it smoother. Here I'm just removing some stickers, getting it ready, getting the outside ready, vacuuming up all my dust from taking those plastic shelf. They're basically grooves to put in a divider into the freezer. A lot of rust patches on this one too, so I'm just using the grinder to kind of make it a little bit smoother surface. Here, the whole bottom is completely rusted through all the way to the foam in some parts, so gonna have to figure out something there. I'm gonna just put a piece of angle iron down there or figure something out. Here I'm just pressure washing it, just getting it all cleaned up so I can actually start working on it. Scrubbing it down right here, just getting it all scuffed up, getting all of the dirt and whatever else off of it so I can start laying some vinyl on this. I'm not going to be painting it. I'm going to be using a vinyl wrap, and a couple of reasons for that. I already have the vinyl wrap, and here's just me painting. I was just painting all of the rusted spots just to keep them from rusting anymore, and you could see the edge down there where it was like literally disintegrating. Painted the top edge too while I was at it because I didn't need to mask anything at that point. Here's me putting the design on. For the bottom I used a desert tan, and then the top I used it's a dried lake bed print, and it's a pattern that I had gotten from another project. So this was just some extra that I had laying around, and it was just perfect because I felt like the tan would help match the outside of a house kind of. So something creative, something more creative than just paint. And you can get away with doing a lot less prep this way when you cover it with vinyl. And here it is before I put the pieces back together. But I think it came out great between the trim paint, doing the outside. Looks like a totally different freezer already. So here I'm just putting the control unit back in and starting to piece some of it back together, getting ready for the next steps. Here I'm just painting the lid. Got it all masked off, and some of this stuff I didn't film, just like masking off, like easy stuff like that. I didn't film everything, but if you're a little bit inclined and you can figure stuff out, this should be no problem. Here I'm wiring the box. I'm using a GFI protector, and I'm putting it on the outside of the box because my idea here is other people are going to be using this, and I do not want them to forget to turn it off. So I'm going to waterproof it on the outside and try to make the button as easily accessible as possible to prevent there ever being anybody inside of it while it's powered on. Here I'm using magnets because there are cooler lines that run through the freezer, so you do not want to drill into the outside of the freezer. You can hit one of those cooling lines, so I use magnets. Here's me just starting to wire everything up, and I was curious if the freezer even worked, so here I'm powering it all on with the temperature probe in there. I'm using an Inkbird temperature controller, and what this does is basically it keeps the temperature inside at whatever you want by kicking on and off the freezer as it needs to. Because this freezer, even on its lowest setting, is going to get to -6 degrees. So obviously, without this controller, the freezer cannot keep the water liquid. It would just freeze the whole thing. So it's very important. Here, I've noticed that the compressor is coming on, but the freezer is not getting cold. So here I'm just kind of doing a little research, looking at luckily they still had this, my parents still had this piece of paper taped to the back, which was all the technical data, which is amazing. So it says right here that it's 134A and that it takes 4.94 ounces. So now that I know that, I know what refrigerant to grab, and I used a tap valve here. You can grab these at your local HVAC supply store. They're only a few bucks. And I'm using a vacuum hose off of a car kit, but you'll need a different hose if you don't already own this kit, and you should be reading the pressure on it like this. I'm doing it the improper way, But if you know what you're doing, you can do it this way. But I will link that down below. Here I'm just tapping the valve where you actually tap it. And as you can see, we're successfully getting the temperature to drop. So it just needed a little bit of refrigerant, as in the case in most things, it's just something simple. And here I'm just holding the probe in my hand to make sure that it kicks back on. And as you can see, once it goes above the 4-degree threshold, it kicks back on. The freezer is now running, and so I just used a scrap piece of aluminum angle iron that I had laying around, and I cut out the drain plug and epoxied it on there to fix that rusted edge, and I'm hoping that'll be good enough. I really think that it will be. And next step is epoxying the inside, making it waterproof, because the aluminum and just putting silicone on it isn't good enough if you're going to use it a lot for a long time. So this is a non-toxic koi pond artificial pond shield, basically, and that's what you want to use. Here I'm just reading the instructions on how to prep the surface, and it says for aluminum to use 60 grit sandpaper. So that's what I'm doing here, just smoothing off the inside. And you'll notice that I put some epoxy where that plastic divider used to be that I ground out earlier, and that's just to make sure that it's 100% waterproof. Here I'm wiping down the surface with 99% isopropyl alcohol. This is right before you put it on. This is to give it that little bit of bite. And if yours has a drain plug like mine did, I taped around the drain plug. I don't show this process, but it's important not to just epoxy over the drain plug or epoxy into the drain hole. So just be careful there. Here I'm just mixing it all together. This is a 2-piece epoxy. That's how you know they're really strong. Anytime you have to combine 2 things together. So here I'm just mixing it all. And be careful, this tub, I wanted to wash out and reuse it, but I had to throw it away. So whatever you mix it in, just be careful. Just know that you're never going to be able to get that epoxy out of there. Here I'm just pouring it in. I'd watched a couple of videos on this before, so I already knew about this technique. And basically you just pour it out on the bottom, and then you use your roller to roll it up the sides. And this is definitely the best way to do it. If you're dipping the roller in and out of a container, this stuff is going to get everywhere, and you do not want this stuff getting everywhere. It's extremely sticky. It bonds to your skin like instantly. It doesn't want to come off, so just be careful with this stuff. Be patient, don't rush this. This is one of the most important steps. And here I peeled the paint away, and I just siliconed around the drain plug to make sure that was watertight. I also put a little O-ring on the drain plug since it didn't come with one. I didn't show that, but just to ensure that it's watertight. Here I'm just showing off everything that has been done, really, just showing the control box now that it's done. Here I've epoxied in the fish filter. This is just a UV fish filter. You have to get a UV one. If you don't, bacteria can grow inside of the tank. UV light can kill single cell organisms, so that's very important. Here I'm powering it on for the very first time with water inside of it. I powered it on and made sure it got cold without water, but this is the first time with water, and everything seems to be working great. The main reason for making this video was so that when I gifted this to my girlfriend for Christmas, that she would actually have a video and she would be able to see how I made her present. So Merry Christmas, Bethany, and to everyone else. This is an awesome, easy project. And for those of you wondering, I did get the freezer for free, and I spent about $400 on everything else. The pond shield epoxy is by far the most expensive part of it, but it is worth it. Unless you can find a freezer with a plastic lined tub inside already, you need this liner if it's going to last. Hi, you've made it to the end of the video, the black screen. Here I just have a little bit more information for you if you're really serious about trying to build one of these. I will link down below to a eBay cart, and if you click on this eBay cart, it is all the basic stuff that you need to build a small to medium sized freezer, obviously minus the freezer. This is everything else that you would need to make this project work. So if you don't want to do all the research on finding the parts yourself, just please go down below and use my link, and it's all on there. If anything is getting taken off, if stuff isn't available anymore, please let me know, and I will try to update that for you guys. And if you guys decide to take this on and do it yourself, please leave a comment with how it went. I would love to see some pictures and stuff like that. Thank you guys so much for watching.